Hello and welcome to the Cats and Books Club podcast. I'm Izzy.
And I am Aryn.
And we're two cousins and we read mostly what Aryn picks, but sometimes I get to pick. And today we are going to be discussing How to Sell Your Blood and Fall in Love by DN Bryn.
Oh my god. Okay.
This, Aryn described to us what this book was about and what because this is like a sequel, but not really, to the last book, How to Bite Your Neighbor and Win a Wager.
Yes, it is the sequel book in the Guide to Dating Vampires series, of which the fourth book just came out. So we're excited to read book 3 and 4 once we get to those.
Do you know the names of those two books?
So the next books are How to Bare Your Neck and Save a Wreck. And the one that just came out is How to Flaunt Your Chains and Surrender a Vein. So I am loving these titles, the little rhymey rhyme. I love it. But anyway, back to How to Sell Your Blood and Fall in Love. So we focus on two main characters. We have Clementine, who works for the corporation that we got familiar with in book 1.
I always forget their acronyms, but it's like the equivalent of evil testing science lab guys.
Mm-hmm. And Clementine works there as a lab person, lab scientist. And Clementine became a vampire and now is low-key panicking at his job because he's like, I don't want them to find out I'm a vampire, but I need to work because I need money, but I'm a vampire and I'm working for a corporation that does testing on vampires. And then, of course, our second character is Justin.
This is the other love interest.
Who I have to agree that the picture of them for the front was very cute, by the way.
I love the covers, cover art.
But Justin is
He's a human, right?
Yes. Justin is human. And he is like a leader in this community that he has kind of started where vampires can live there in peace and they're all together and the vampires can kind of rely on one another.
And he's basically the only security they have that's not more vampires.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only human they know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Well, and I think there's a lot of pressure on Justin. Like, Justin kind of comes to us as this human that is very, very focused in his role of protecting this area. He is very protective over the people that live in his community. He feels like he has to be that person to protect them and to kind of look after them.
And the challenge here, which we find out sort of later, is that he has a chronic health problem, like a chronic pain issue that really like holds him back in accomplishing his goal of being able to protect everybody, because he's kind of out of commission whenever that flares up.
Mm-hmm. And I did like the chronic pain representation that we have in this book is great. It really gives you a sense of what someone might go through their daily life, just trying to work and be helpful and just be a functioning human being, but while having these bursts of pain. For him, it's in his back.
Right. Which is like the worst.
Oh, yes.
Our man's Mangione, also chronic pain.
Mm-hmm.
Chronic back pain specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice all the times that it's like, hey, want to fuck? And it's like, yes, but also I am dying. Yes, and also I can't move my lower body. So it's like, yeah, that's a real thing that happens. Not all of us are able to just fuck whenever. You have to like load up with drugs and get like accessibly fucking is a problem for people. And I think it's about time we raised awareness
I mean, yes, that is also represented in this book, actually, of kind of this tug and pull between Justin and Clementine. They both kind of skitter around their feelings for a while because, so kind of one of the main things,
Long while.
it's a slow burn, but here's the thing. So in the beginning, when Justin meets Clementine and Justin kind of make this agreement, and they spark this deal that, Clementine needs blood, but he's too
Right.
afraid.
That's his like character conflict is he has this sudden change in his health care needs and he is not equipped to get what he needs because there's not really anything set up for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no
Yeah, and he doesn't.
clinic to get, he's
Yes.
just
Well, and that the people who sell blood, the blood is very, very expensive.
right. It's like very classist healthcare accessibility, which we have all the time in
Mm-hmm.
America. It's pretty much part of what part of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
They really love fucking a bitch over with healthcare, especially if you're poor.
But something that I really loved was that Justin was able to help Clementine, not just through like making a deal so that Justin can kind of be his blood donation, but that Justin was able to tell him about the community that he is over and say, hey, we have this community of vampires, and there are other vampires that you could meet and become friends with and be safe in
Uh,
this community.
One thing about that, though, that I thought was kind of weird is he has this whole community, but for some reason he thinks that he has to choose between his community and Clementine instead of just adding Clementine to the community where he can just choose both. Like that was kind of a
Ah,
fake dichotomy. I didn't really understand why
ooh,
he
that's
was trying to
true.
keep Clementine away.
That's true.
Izzy here with an update from the future because I now realize there was a reason for keeping Clementine out of the community, and that's that Clementine was working for Vitalis Baron, which was um, basically inciting violence and was the original cause of institutional violence towards the vampire community. So I just wanted to add this aside that actually I do realize there was a reason for this, and it does actually make sense. And I'm sorry I doubted you, DN Bryn. He did not want
Yes.
Clementine in his community. 'Cause that was
That's
the
true.
first thing I thought he was going to do.
Ah,
However, I think it's possible that he was a liability because he was still working for the guys. And
yes.
that it would make sense why he would be a little. I mean,
He'd have a trust issue,
it's the
of
same
course.
as like queer people knowing a queer cop. It's like, okay,
Yes.
you're queer, but what you represent is our annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Can I trust you? I don't know, right?
That is a really good analogy, actually.
Like,
Yeah.
if historically this company was preying on vampires, and Clementine knows this,
And works
and he is
and still
still
works for
giving
them.
his labor to an institution that kills people like him. And so it's like, okay, how do you reason with that? Cognitive
Mm,
dissonance. Does
hmm
Clement, I mean, because he does have it, he doesn't like working, but he picked it.
And he struggles with that throughout the book. And that is something that I like, that Clementine really grows throughout the book. And, by about midway, we really see him going, okay, I don't want to work here anymore. This is really messed up. And
Yeah, like he
I'm
didn't.
I don't want this anymore. And I loved his growth.
Yeah,
I
we do love
loved
to see
that.
that.
I loved that. Now I will say there was one quote that I really love, kind of where Justin is kind of looking at Clementine, and I love his description of him. So, the quote says, "Not a man at all, but a vampire, or possibly some Greek god incarnated into the wardrobe of a preppy English professor. His golden hair curled delicately around his angular face, and his slight nose wrinkled up as his lips pulled back to reveal thick, dagger-like fangs, large and sharp. He smelled lovely, like vanilla and almonds and a kind of wood only the wealthy bought. And
So, what wood
Justin,
do we think that is?
mahogany. I don't know. And Justin, pinned against a statue, had absolutely no right to be noticing that, of all things. Not that, and not how the vampire's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed. Not the heat of his thigh pressing up the inside of Justin's. Not the way his hand darted into Justin's hair to push back his head, his gaze locked on Justin's throat. It was almost enough to drown out the ache in his back. I freaking love that quote. That is adorable. And it's so descriptive.
Yeah, that was a good way to introduce a character.
Like it's
Finally, someone
wonderful.
tells me what the main character looks like.
And
They
not only
never tell you.
yes. And not only what they look like, but what they smell like. And really describe that smell.
Thank you for the show, Don't Tell. We love it.
We love it.
Thank you.
We freaking love it. And the scenes with Clementine and Justin in that initial startup of their friendship, um, those tension scenes of where Clementine is getting blood from Justin were so sexy in such a strange way, but they were really sexy.
You know what it is? It's the intimacy.
Yes, very intimate.
Sort of a forced proximity, but like not really because it was both it wasn't forced. They consented
They
to it. But it
consented.
was sort of
Yeah.
like a mutual need allowed them to meet each other.
Mm-hmm. And I think because, of course, you find out through the book that Clementine is asexual. And I actually really liked that slow buildup because I think for someone who is asexual, I feel like that slow buildup is more intimate to them.
Yeah.
Now, I don't speak for all asexuals, but I personally really liked the ace representation. Um, he's just this cute, nerdy professor type who is ace and he's just kind of figuring it out.
I mean, I appreciate
I
that
loved it.
that it tells you, okay, being ace does not mean that you're not horny and you don't like sex. It just means you're not
Yes.
really looking for that, like, in the first place. Like,
Mhm.
it seems like it's more of a um like the fantasy is what they're looking for, not necessarily anything real.
Mhm. Like, I loved something else that I absolutely loved, and I totally wrote in my notes. DN Bryn, I have a question. Do you write Star Trek fan fiction? Because the details of the Star Trek fan fiction in this book were great and awesome, but I found myself thinking, DN, do you write Star Trek fan fiction?
We want to know. We'll read it. I love a fanfic.
I love that little tiny detail of Clementine being obsessed and writing like Star Trek fan fiction. Um, it was just adorable, and
Yeah,
I
where
loved it.
it does kind of show that for Clementine, romance is an emotional
Hmm.
thing, almost 100%.
Hmm.
Like sexually, he's definitely into Justin. He thinks he's gorgeous, but that empty fucking means nothing to him,
Hmm.
right? Like he doesn't want to just bang Justin and then have him disappear.
Hmm.
That does not suit him at all. That's not what he's looking for. Like he's looking for connection, for someone he can trust.
Hmm.
Like that is what a relationship means for Clementine. And Justin seems like he's a little bit of a an avoidance type where he's like
Mm,
push everybody away so
mhm,
that they aren't impacted by like whatever my shit is.
mhm,
Because like we've been there, right?
mhm,
Sometimes you have depression, some horrible things have happened. You're like, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm great to be around right now because I'm having a time.
mhm,
And
mhm,
maybe don't try to love me because
mhm.
I don't have the capacity
To
to
love.
like treat you the way you deserve to be treated. It's just
Right.
the whole like sort of ruminating spiral that Justin goes into of self-loathing that makes relationships very difficult on his end.
Mm,
So like that's an interesting juxtaposition of like someone looking for emotional intimacy going after someone who is avoiding emotional intimacy.
yes. Yes. And I love, we have, our notes, guys, but this note, Clementine being like, I'll love you even if you don't love me back because you can't control me, bitch, was really funny. It was really funny because Clementine just, I think when he
He's like,
realized
you're not my
finally,
dad.
yeah, that's right. I loved him kind of realizing, wait a minute, I love Justin. Why is he pushing me away? What is
What
this?
literally is this? What is your fucking deal, bro?
And just we also love there was a lot of like OCD representation and OCD neurodivergence happening with Clementine, just needing to be clean all the time and cleaning his room
Yeah, Clem
and the
has
bed.
all the bangers of neurodivergence. He's got OCD, he's got ACE, he's got the fanfic, he's a homosexual. Like, we out here.
Now, something else that we loved. Now, this was not kind of an overreaching arc of the book because Clementine's sister is not like a major character. She is there, but she's not like a major character. It's mainly about Clementine and Justin. Um, but his sister's name is Odysseus, which iconic. I love it. But she goes by Sissy, and she is trans. Um,
And let's see. Erin has a quote here that she took about Odysseus' sort of backstory, which I appreciated having, even though she wasn't like a main character necessarily. She was a supporting cast. But okay, here's the quote. Odysseus had presented as a hot boy toy version of herself for most of her life, but the last 5 years she'd finally transitioned into a literal goddess instead. Her parents had initially put on a show of distress, but once Sissy proved that she was just as capable a businesswoman and lawyer as she had been while using her birth assigned pronouns, they had grudgingly offered support. Really, Clem figured none of them should have been so shocked when the sibling who'd feminized what their parents had always claimed was a gender neutral Odysseus into Sissy had turned out to be a girl. It was like the universe had programmed itself to fit her needs ahead of time.
Honestly, though, I really like the name Odysseus. I want to talk about kind of the chronic pain rep that is introduced in the character Justin. So, Justin and his family, they are they've got some sort of magical sort of being in their blood, is what I picked up on.
Wait, who?
Justin.
Oh,
Because he's got this chronic back pain, but
okay.
it's caused, and I'm going to read the quote here in a minute.
Hmm,
And it's almost like I think that was something I would have loved a little bit more clarity on.
true.
Um,
Yeah, like what was the
what
story?
type of it's almost like Clementine or not Clementine, excuse me. It's like Justin's family had some type of like magical creature type,
Oh, was
but had like genetically
it just sort of phased it out?
phased it out,
So
but
like,
in a way that caused him pain. So let
uh,
me read this. Let me read this quote.
yeah, I missed that.
It was not bare of marks, though, it being his back. A thick scar tore through the muscle on the right side of his waist, and a bubbling white knot like a decades old burn marred the flesh at the outer edge of his left deltoid, and between his shoulder blades. The sight alone made Clementine cringe in empathy. From the place where his ribs met his spine, spiked Spindles of something much like bone ran beneath the oddly translucent skin, most as small as a fingernail, but a few large enough that each movement seemed to poke and prod their tips into the muscle. No wonder he was in such pain. It shocked Clementine that he could run and lift and fight in the first place.
Us too.
Yes. So that was just something that was really interesting. And honestly, the vibe that I got, now, of course, this is up to interpretation, but it almost sounded like dragon
Dragon.
bones.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say. I was
like
like, what creature do we think this is?
yeah, like it was really interesting. So
Or is it a dinosaur?
is it a dinosaur? Is it like
Stego,
dragon
it's my
wings?
Stego man. I've got the plates coming out.
But yes, I loved that representation. And again, I can appreciate putting that into a book where we're sitting there reading and learning about Justin's journey and how Justin is kind of moving day to day with that pain
Right.
and how he deals with it and manages it.
Weed.
Which, yes, that was how. But we have the weed getting tampered with.
Oh yeah, we wanted to talk about the weed getting tampered with because I was trying to figure out if that was something that could really happen. Where it's like, okay, does radiation, because in the story, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was what there was something in Clementine's pocket with the weed
Mm-hmm.
that was radioactive. I don't remember what it was. Do you remember what it was?
It was like something that he was working on at the lab. Was like,
Oh, okay. So anyway, he had something that was irradiated in a pocket with the weed, and this was actually a really funny climax because Justin was like, "I can't fight without my pain meds because I'm fucked up," and then he's like, "Oh no, we're all doomed unless I can get Justin his pain meds." So he like goes against this weed, and then it turns out like the radiation made it not
like not
work.
work really.
Like,
It was kind of funny.
and so then it was like, oh no, my medicine is ruined. And then, wait, how did they get out of that though? When the medicine was ruined. So, what we found out about the radiation and whether or not it can actually do this to weed, it is inconclusive. The research is inconclusive. However, they have found that sometimes irradiating weed will change the terpene structure, like the chemical structure can sometimes change. But it's only really like turning THCA, which was a cannabinoid, into THC, which is the normal cannabinoid we all know about. And so that I could see. Now, I think they can shift between a bunch of different things, and I think sometimes if you need one specific terpene for your pain and it turns it into a different terpene that doesn't impact your pain, that can be a problem. However, they said that the kind of like interaction that radiation has with weed is similar to just leaving your weed in a paper bag for like a month or 2 months and then trying to smoke it. It just gets dry and it works less because it's dry. That's it. So while I think this is like kind of a valid plot point, I'm also like, it's kind of silly. Like we're not here for that plot point anyway. We're just here for the romance, so it doesn't really matter. But I thought it was kind of silly.
The themes of this book were, of course, we have again the evil corporation versus public health, people versus vampires versus prophets, guilt and shame from grief.
When it comes to Justin, because
Mhm.
his backstory is, because we didn't mention the backstory of Justin, but we find out, keeps everybody at arm's length because he believes that his actions resulted in the death of one of the people in his community. But I forget
And he
what
carries
happens.
that around.
And he really didn't.
He
Obviously,
didn't.
everybody who he tells the story to is like, that literally wasn't your fault. But he's like, yes, it was. I need to atone for my sins and save the vampires because I'm a piece of shit. And it's like, okay, but like, bro, you need a therapist.
Grief about permanent life changes. No going back to being human once you're a vampire. The
These are my notes. I want everyone to know.
unwilling to ask for help, and it being detrimental to yourself.
Yeah, so the vampire guilt is like Clementine has to cope with his life being changed and having to redo a bunch of shit, and like he has to find a different job and all this shit. But then the unwillingness to ask for help and it being detrimental is
Justin.
On Justin's part. He keeps being like, "I'm the only one who can see the vampires. Nobody else can help me. This is my job." And it's like, bro, you don't have to be the only fucking person. They're adults. They can take care of themselves. This is a very like martyr complex with that one.
That's right. And then also with Clementine, we have this sort of, he's getting all this pressure from his parents about being successful and being at the top of the Vitalis Baron Corporation and
Yeah, there's
being the top dog.
very classist
Yes.
ideas of what his life should look like.
Yes. And he doesn't want that for himself. And he doesn't want to follow what his parents want for him.
Yeah, because he knows that like his parents don't get him. They don't get what he is about, and
And I don't know, I liked that too. And then of course the chronic pain rep and that theme of how it can really just affect your daily life.
yeah, just like disability was a big. There's different kinds of disability, right? There's mental health disabilities. There's physical disabilities. There's you know, yeah, not being able to eat food while the rest of your friends can as a vampire. Like that's depressing. You have to cope with that change
Mhm.
that like you're never gonna have a normal life again, and that's like really valid. It's literally like contracting an illness,
Mhm.
very similar to the AIDS epidemic, which we did, I think, talk about during our last interview.
Yes. Something that I wanted to bring up. So at the very end, with Clementine's growth and with Justin's growth, of course, at the very end, they are together. What they open up is a blood bank for vampires. Now,
We love that.
something I want to bring up historically during the AIDS epidemic.
Okay, that's good. Good.
Yes, during the AIDS epidemic of the 1980s, of course, queer men were, of course, one of the main populations affected by the AIDS epidemic. But something that they were not allowed to do was donate blood to their own community because of the stigma of the AIDS virus. Now, this is why it's important in this book. This is the paragraph that I want to bring up. So we're talking about Clementine and Justin's blood bank. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here's one of the ending paragraphs. Clementine hadn't really expected anything to come out of it. When the bank opened for draws the next morning, he stood in the back, the curtain still down for the sake of their one vampiric phlebotomist. He hadn't heard them until the front door opened. Masculine voices echoing down the street. A line of 30 men stood outside. He wanted to cry. Not just men, he realized as one by one they entered. Queer men with rainbow bracelets and bisexual pins and a variety of other pride accessories. They had all come for this.
Yay.
Clementine opened his messages with a whole new kind of shaking, his body still not quite believing it wasn't a dream, as he snapped a pic of the incoming group and sent it to Wager You One, which you find out that Wesley and Vincent from book one, they kind of make a little cameo, and this is how they kind of make a little cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first off, they make a cameo because Justin says he mentions them as having recently moved into his neighborhood. Secondly, they get referenced during this scene as they have sent these people to go to that blood bank
Mm-hmm.
so that his blood bank is successful.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we have Clementine coming into a new job at the very end, something that is like near and dear to his heart. Something, of course, his parents had never wanted, probably, or expected for him. But he is happy. And Justin is happy. And they are together. And they're working together in the community. And they're building up that community. And I can't wait to see, maybe how it gets continued into books 3 and 4.
Right. Like, what are the cameos going to be for this couple? Like in the other books?
I think you want to call it an issue, because I think this is something that's
we just had some things that
common.
we were like, like just some things we were thinking about.
Yeah, like
not issues, just things we were like, oh, okay, that doesn't really make sense.
Well, I think for me, the character of Justin and how he puts so much pressure on his shoulders and how he feels like he is the only guy who can protect this whole neighborhood, right? And I find that I personally in the past have been like Justin. So I really sympathize with him, because I was like, whoa, I see myself in this character. I have been that person before. Not in the same capacity, but where you're putting so much pressure on yourself.
You put a lot on yourself.
So much on yourself. And you're like, oh, no one can help me. No one can help me with this. I can't get help from anybody. I need to be the one to do this, this, and this.
Right. I need to prove that I could do it myself.
Yes. And I really empathize with that, and how I love at the end that Justin learns he can also rely on people that are living within this community. And they all come to him saying, look, like,
we want to help.
We want to help.
Let us fucking help you.
And we don't want you to do this alone, because we appreciate that you have created this community for us, and we all want to help protect it.
Right.
I love it.
Because it's an important thing and they want it to succeed. And that's like the secret to success is other people in your community wanting you to succeed. And that's what I took away from it. Is that
I loved it.
One man cannot be an island.
That's right.
Or woman, or they them.
I love that.
I don't know.
So our overall conclusions, let's do our overall conclusions. I wanted to let you guys know our next book that we will be reading will be the third book in this series. So we will be reading that. So give us some time to read it.
And what's the name?
It is How to Bare Your Neck and Save a Wreck. So that will be the next book that we are doing. So if you're kind of following along with us, you want to read before you listen to the podcast that we do next, read along with us.
You'll have plenty of time. We're really bad at getting this shit up on time.
But I tell you what, though, if you guys are reading along with us, we would love to see your thoughts, your views, your comments.
Talk to us.
We would love that, because a lot of these authors that we have been reading, S.E. Wendell being one of them, DN Bryn being one of them.
They were recommended to us by just because you found.
Yeah, I found them like literally on like TikTok and Instagram is how I've been finding some of these authors. And
so, recommend us some people to know. We love talking to people, artists, authors, all the above.
It's been a fun time. And
yeah, but you didn't get to your conclusion.
But anyway, our conclusions. I feel I gained an understanding of how chronic pain can affect daily life for different people. Seeing the struggle represented made an impact on me. Because
you do not have chronic pain.
I don't have chronic pain, so
we just have chronic mental health.
But I don't have chronic pain, and yes, in your mind you can know something like, oh yeah, of course,
you
chronic pain.
You do have chronic pain though with your periods.
That's true.
Because that
counts. I have really bad periods.
That counts. I mean, I'm saying don't erase your own suffering here.
That is true.
Because that comes around and it ruins your life.
It ruins my life.
You have to plan your whole fucking week around this pile of shit. Like, oh, let me just grab a suitcase for my fucking pads that I'm going to need. Just bring that around with me all week.
PCOS. It's not fun.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah. And my favorite character...
Well, you didn't talk about the trans rep.
I did like the trans rep. It was there, but it wasn't a whole theme in the book. But, maybe setting up for further rep in the future. And my
character would have liked to know her more.
Yes, like, My favorite character of the book was Clementine, though. I love Clementine. So nerdy, so bookish, so cute.
Yeah, he's
Oh.
a very strong character. Like you knew who he was, his quirks, his kind. Like you believe that Clementine's like a real guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like Justin's not bad either. Like I believe that
Mm-hmm.
he's a real guy, but he has like less like little like
Quirks.
we learned less about like what media is Justin into? What does he watch? Like, what are his hobbies? Does he like go on like we know he smokes weed. That's a pretty big hobby for me and others.
Well, he didn't really have time for hobbies. He was taking care of a whole neighborhood.
Yeah, so he was literally doing um his hobby was being the hero, which is valid, but it doesn't tell me about him as a guy. It tells me
Mhm.
about his ego and what he thinks like is expected of him, or he wants to prove people wrong because he has low self-esteem because of his disability, and he's proving to himself by doing this that he is still capable of doing stuff, which as someone who's been through that, I've been through that, losing an amount of like autonomy and independence because of an issue. Chronic migraines and long COVID for me. But for him, it was just like trying to help support a community that he's a part of and loves. And so, yeah, he really was an interesting character too. I enjoyed it. But I feel like, yeah, I don't really know like about what he like. Like, does he watch sports? Is he a sports get like what is his vibe here? Like, I don't really know what his like character vibe is,
Does he like comic
except
books?
for like the bad boy who like can't let anyone close to him because he will ruin them. Oh no, I break everything I touch. I can't let you in. Like, shut up.
It's Clementine. Shut up.
I thought the radioactivity making the weed useless was an interesting thing, and I was inspired to look into it. So I thought that was cool that I I learned something new today, and I want to know like if DN Bryn did like a bunch of research on this to pick this as sort of the plot twist is like, oh no, he can't save us. His weed is ruined. And I'm like, that's so real. Sometimes it's just like, you want me to do what, bitch? I'm not doing anything. I can't do shit. This is on you now. Anyway, my favorite character was Mrs. Mendoza. Love her. I want to know her in real life. And I think she needs her own book where she finds love. And that's that those are my thoughts. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought the plot was very like a similar arc, some similarities between this one and the last one, but I liked that the characters were different and had different sort of issues they were navigating from the first book. And of course, there was lots of POC references, which
POC
was great, which we didn't
characters.
end up mentioning,
They were
but
side characters, but they were
I'm
there,
mentioning it
and
now that it was
yeah,
nice to see a lot of different ethnicities in the
like
characters.
Justin was Asian.
Yeah, and then Mrs.
Hmm.
Mendoza was I thought she was also Asian, but her last
Mm-mm.
name seems
Hispanic.
yeah. So, but in my
And
head I was imagining like just like a middle-aged Asian lady with short hair reading just like behind a comic book like, "Oh, you're back, huh?" Like
no, I loved her so much. She was very sassy. It was very funny.
yeah, no, she was cute.
It was very cute. Well, I think that is it for this episode of the Cats and Books Pod. Be sure to tune in.
Thanks for joining us. Quick cat update since we keep forgetting that.
That's right.
My cats are chilling. They really want a cat tree. Gemini's terrorizing Cleo because they're living in 2 rooms. So one of these days, that'll come back from my house in Pittsburgh. I'm in Indiana. So I had to move my cats.
My cat update is that Aquila is still terrorizing Pippin because she is a bully. Um, we need to take them to the vet. They need vet appointments. They're
No, my
fine.
cats need vet
They're
appointments
fine.
too.
Yeah, like they're fine. They're just like, your yearly go in, get your
Get the
shots and your
shots.
just check up. Make sure they're healthy. My cats are getting older. Mine are 9 right now. They're gonna be 10 this December, so I am cognizant of that, and I'm trying to really like watch for like any type of like issues
My
or health
cats are turning
issues.
12
Oh,
in September.
babies
They
growing
grow so
up. They
fast.
do.
Actually, wait, no, I think it's like August 30th or something.
August.
I know that my cats are Virgos. That's what matters. They're both siblings, so that's what.
Mine are siblings too.
But they're so different from each other that you're like, damn, that's like wild that y'all are both Virgos because like y'all don't act like Virgos.
I mean, mine
Cleo acts like a Virgo.
very like my cats, they are siblings too, but their personalities are so different. Like Pippin likes to just chill, and she will snuggle with you. Like she'll chill out, she'll snuggle with you. Like she's, roly poly, very fat and adorable and loves to eat.
Yep, she's a very friendly cat.
And,
Pippin.
and then there's Aquila, and she's mean to
She's
Pippin.
evil.
She hits me. She hits Pippin. Literally, one time, guys, this is a terrible story, but one time I was talking to my boyfriend, and Aquila was on the couch. She's like on top of the couch. And I'm sitting on the couch and I'm talking to my boyfriend about like how sad I am to realize that like one day when one of them passes away, I want to get another cat because I'm afraid that the second one would pass very quickly because they're a bonded pair.
Mm.
And I say this, and I shit you not, Aquila turns, looks at me, gives me a dirty look, takes her paw, and goes, bam, right in my face.
God.
And I was like,
she knew you were ready to.
Like, it was funny.
She knew. How does she know? How did she know?
I think she's a witch incarnated into
cat.
I think she's been reincarnated into a cat.
Telepathic.
I don't know. Like, anyway, so that's my cat update.
Awesome. Glad well, I mean, I'm here, so I see them all the time. I've been bothering them. It's been great. My cats need bothered once I get back to my house.
We're actually filming this together, guys. We're not in two separate places filming this, so it's actually going to make
We're not even filming. We're recording it.
Well, yeah, but it's going to make editing so much easier.
Sure.
For real.
All right, anyway, that's that. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. We know that it's hard times out there, so stay safe. All right. Bye.